with multiple charges. They are all pending at this time. We're told that he is currently inside that precinct right in back of me. Of course, for his part in what happened earlier today at the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, just a couple of blocks away from where we are standing. By now, you've seen the footage. UFC 223 Media Day was just wrapping up. Conor McGregor and multiple members of his team, including UFC fighter Artem Lobov, arrived unannounced. Were looking for someone and eventually made their way to the loading dock and eventually made their way to one of the vans, which was holding a bunch of the UFC fighters who were competing on the card and here at the arena for Media Day. One of the fighters on that van, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it's clear at this time that McGregor and his team were looking for Nurmagomedov. They were here in retaliation for an incident that occurred 2 days ago at the Fighter Hotel where Nurmagomedov and members of his team cornered Artem Lobov, good friend and training partner of Conor McGregor, after Lobov made some comments about Nurmagomedov apparently that seemed to upset the UFC lightweight contender. So McGregor and his friends flew from Dublin to New York to retaliate, as I was told, and as a result surrounded one of the vans that was holding the red corner fighters, and thus started to cause a melee, a fracas, if you will, through a bunch of objects at the bus, shattering one of the glass windows. UFC lightweight fighter Michael Chiesa, who is competing on the card Saturday night, or I should say was competing on the card Saturday night, was hit by shattered glass. He suffered multiple lacerations on his face, was taken to a local hospital. He decided to continue cutting weight. He wanted to remain on the card, but he announced just a couple hours ago that the New York State Athletic Commission had removed him from the card. So that fight is off. UFC President Dana White announced earlier today that Artem Lobov had been removed from the card as well. So Lobov's fight against Alex Caceres has been canceled, and a third fight has been canceled as a result of this incident. Ray Borg was also affected by the shattered glass. His manager, Ali Abdelaziz, telling me that some of the glass hit his eye. He was taken to a hospital, was having trouble seeing, and he too was removed from the card. So Ray Borg and Brandon Moreno will not be fighting on Saturday night. So earlier this morning, UFC 223 had 13 fights on the card and now has 10 fights on the card as a result of today's incident. And of course, the biggest news of all is that the biggest star in the history of this sport, Conor McGregor, is inside that police station right now. His charges are pending. It appears as though he is going to be taken to another location once whatever he does in there is completed. But this is a story that is very much developing and not over for Conor McGregor. It's unclear at this time what he will be charged with, but there is a trickle-down effect here, and there is a lot of concern that charges will be filed from those affected, not just the fighters, but also UFC employees who were affected by today's incident. Plenty more coverage to come over at MMAfighting.com. It has been a surreal day here in Brooklyn, New York. Tomorrow it is the weigh-ins, the official weigh-ins at 9 a.m., ceremonial weigh-ins at around 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course the UFC's 25th anniversary press conference at around 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have our coverage for you over at MMAfighting.com, so do not go anywhere. But for now, from Brooklyn, I am Ariel Helwani. Good night. We'll have plenty more on this situation as it develops.